I'm here with a broker top tip episode. Very excited about our guest today and near and dear to my heart. He helped us in July of 21. My family and I, we lost a lot of properties in the Northern California fires, and I was referred to Seth, the public adjuster. Good morning, Seth. How are we today?
Good, Jerry. How are you doing?
Fantastic. So glad to have you on as a guest today. I know that they're finally wrapping up the fires. I don't want to say finally, but with the rain and everything, they're getting the fires under control. And can't wait till they're out so we can start getting insurance in those areas again. But
Right.
you have been so instrumental in me and my family when we needed someone help, when we lost a lot of property and we were like, okay, where do we go? What do we do? And then we got referred to you by some dear friends of ours, and you were an amazing godsend. So I wanted to introduce you on my Broker Top Tips channel and see if we can also offer some of those services to other people. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and how we can do that.
Sure, Jerry. So I got licensed about 18 years ago. I've been working in Southern California. Mainly, my stint of my work has been working with homeowners on a day-to-day basis who have had house fires or they've had a pipe break that has caused water damage. I have a few where cars ran into the buildings, also a few where trees through the winds in the past years fell on houses and took out good portions of the structure. Also, I've dealt with commercial buildings, also restaurants, all types of commercial properties that have had the similar fire or flood or similar what we call first party claims where another human didn't really act upon somebody else, but yet it was called God made accident, such as a fire.
Yes.
Anyway, so I did work for a few companies before I went out on my own. I've been on my own for about 10 plus years. I worked for a company um, that handled the financial housing crisis during the 2008 9 till 2012, whatever the timeline was. And we handled claims for mortgage companies that had properties that were vacated because people just walked away.
Yeah.
And so I got licensed in all the states that have public adjusters licensed. That's pretty much 43 states in the United States. There's only 7 states, and that might have changed since 10 years ago. Only 7 states don't recognize public adjusters, but the majority of states do. And we are licensed to stand on behalf of the policyholder and present the claim to the insurance company. And so I've been doing that for 18 years. I have done several wildfires. I am actually going up today to Eaton Fire, where Altadena is, and meeting some clients up there. But that's a little history of me and what I've done.
So if someone lost her house in a fire, what would you say the first thing they need to do?
I would say, just like what an attorney would say if you got into an accident or if you got into legal problems, you would need an attorney. So when it comes to insurance claims, a lot of people are unaware of the steps you're supposed to take. An important step that people need to understand is you're the one who insured your house, your car, your items, whether it's jewelry or photography or whatever an expensive item is. And it's your responsibility to make the claim to the insurance company. A lot of times people say, I'm going to call in the claim. And then the insurance company says, well, we're going to come out, and everyone assumes that the insurance company is taking over. And what we're supposed to do is present the claim to the insurance company and say, this is where I'm damaged. This is by how much I'm damaged. And because I've been damaged this much, you owe me this much.
Right.
But obviously, people are teachers, firefighters, police officers. They don't understand or have the access to the similar technology and or estimating software that the insurance companies use. And so then they need help to present that case to the insurance company.
Yeah,
And so, yeah.
it seems to me like, and especially when you lost everything in a fire, your everything that you're going through, emotionals, all of that, asking the right questions and putting in the claim and putting everything forward. I mean, that's where to me you come into it and you really help take a lot of that off of people's shoulders and help get that stuff submitted.
Yeah, it is a definitely a trying time emotionally, and I can see I've had a couple claims myself personally on rental properties that I own, and you do feel that you're at their mercy. And so there's an emotional, are they going to give it to me? Are they not going to give it to me? And so, just like I've heard the phrase, even an attorney shouldn't represent themselves. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's a safe bet to allow someone else to take on your claim so you're not emotionally involved and you trip up on little mistakes that they might take advantage of on your claim by you not presenting it or you feeling worn down from all the things that are on your shoulders with having to deal with the city, the county, the state, those regulations, all kind of evacuations, all those things that could come into play. And then on top of that, trying to present your claim to the insurance company.
It was interesting because when we were submitting our claim and you had all these questions that you asked, I never would have even have thought to ask those questions. So your experience came in amazing, just to take that weight off of our shoulders. Now, what do you think about these insurance companies? A lot of people hear these things like, hey, there's 22% of the insurance policy was California Fair Plan, and I tell people that's backed by the state of California also, right? So a lot of these insurance companies also have insurance on top of insurance, right?
Well, so lately there's been what's called DIC, which is difference in conditions.
Yeah.
So California Fair Plan is always kind of been a bare bones policy,
Mhm.
and they've actually increased the coverages. What they used to do is they used to cover any kind of property that other insurance companies would not cover, such as State Farm goes into a bad part of Los Angeles and the house is really run down, the roof is bad. All these things make it so State Farm or other insurance companies do not want to cover it. So henceforth, California Fair Plan steps in and covers that dilapidated or rundown property, or in many cases, recently, homes that are near wildfire
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
And so California Fair Plan will give a bare bones kind of will cover fire, which goes back to what original policies are, which are called DP1 or dwelling policy one, which means it's a fire policy only covering fire and
Mm.
nothing else. And so in a lot of ways, the California Fair Plan policy is like a dwelling policy one, which is a fire policy.
Mhm.
Then you have to get additional policies, which is a difference in conditions, which adds in water damage, which adds in wind damage, which adds in these extra conditions that California Fair Plan won't cover. So sometimes, in a lot of cases, people are having two coverages: one California Fair Plan for the wildfire, the other one for the regular throughout the year if there was a tree to fall down, and so on and so on.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think about these other insurance companies, not the California Fair Plan? I'm telling my clients that have bought homes and all of that, that, the solitude, like, will they be able to handle all of these coverages? And I'm like, well, they will be because, I mean, I remember what I was hearing, listening to the news and well, if they look at how much coverage they need in it, how much coverage they have out there in an area, and they can get insurance on portions of that, like the insurance gets insurance to cover them also, right? So I tell them not to worry about that, but get your policies submitted, get your claims submitted, right?
Yeah. So California Department of Insurance, and this is where I'm stepping out a little bit more of my comfort zone of what I know, but it's my understanding that if you're an admitted carrier in California, that you have to be financially solvent, and California requires that. And you are right. What insurance companies do is, if anyone's familiar with umbrella insurance, it's kind of an umbrella insurance
Yeah.
for insurance companies where insurance companies will say, hey, we've got, let's just say 2 billion in, possibility of claims in the state of, let's just say California.
Yeah.
We want a policy that covers us anything that happens above that 2 billion. And let's raise it to, 10 billion. So if there's a wildfire and they end up paying out more than 2 billion in claims, and it starts to getting into 4 or 5 billion, that's where they go into their insurance company and who they pay premium for, and that they will start giving them money so that they're still solvent and they're paying these claims. And so it's called reinsurance is the name of it.
Yes. So I know you're going out to Altadena today. And
Yeah.
I mean, just to see some of the pictures. I mean, I had a client that we had their listing and they lost 8 units. And so they're probably going to be reaching out to you because they're starting to, say, hey, I got to get this going. I got to do all this. All the renters lost their goods and all that. So that's been pretty devastating in that area. So I wish you the best going up to there, and whoever you're helping, I wish them the best. Um, so the number one advice you can give someone that lost their house will be the number one advice you can give them to do right now.
I think the number one advice would be to, probably for the first time of everyone, read your policy
Mhm.
and get somebody to look. So your policy is your playbook. It's kind of, we got the rules of California, but you also have what you ended up paying for, which is your policy. What are those limits? What are the conditions? So to put it really simply, for a policy, it's called DICE. That's what we call it. D for declaration page, which is your name, who's insured, who how much are they insured for, what are their limits. Then you have the I, which is insuring agreement, what they're agreeing to insure. Okay. You have C, which is conditions, the conditions you need to meet to make sure that you're going to get paid when you have a loss. And then E is in for endorsements. And endorsements are changing what the policy language is. They kind of, we're going to cross a line out here and we're going to change that wording to be this. And a lot of times the endorsements lately in the last decade or so have been more in favor to the insurance company cutting coverages as opposed to adding coverages. And so anyway, I would look into that. What everyone should do, and I haven't really done it myself either, is we should have pictures of every single room we have.
Yeah.
We should have it if we had a big disaster. This way we can rely on those pictures to be kind of a roadmap of what we've had and evidence to the insurance company of, here, I did have a quality office chair as opposed to a really cheap chair.
Yeah.
And so what we do as public adjusters is we try to make sure that we detail the claim and get you the dollar amount that is fair, as opposed to what the insurance company is trying to do, which is trying to get the claim done as quickly as possible. And in many cases, that means they're leaving out details, which means they're leaving out money towards the homeowner. So to answer your question, I would look at the policy, and then I would I would sketch out my own house. I would go on a piece of paper. I would draw out a map of my house, and then visualize in each room what I had in that room, and go from big objects down to little objects. Obviously, bedrooms have beds, have nightstands, maybe have light shades, and go down a list, and then really think of what you had in those rooms that were important to you. I would probably do those two things. That would be my advice for the first two.
Yeah, 'cause especially after Christmas. I mean, a lot of people had Christmas, presents and all that in there. They had, I mean, I got one of my kids a new TV for the room, right? So,
Right.
right. So, but you can always call your insurance company, get a copy of all the policy, every little bit of it.
Yes.
But I'll tell you what I would recommend is get that policy and send and get it on over to you, right? Because I was reading my policy, and then after you had a chance to read it and we talked about it, there was just so much things in there that you had way more expertise on. So, guys, Seth, public adjuster, is a godsend. So make sure that if they want to get a hold of you, how would they do that, Seth?
They can call me. That's the 951-699-2308. That is my cell phone number. They can email me, Seth at claimally.com. Ally is ALLY. I grew up in Monrovia, which is
Oh,
only a few
yes.
houses, only a few, I'm sorry, a few houses, a few cities away from Pasadena. So I
Mhm.
spent my childhood going to Pasadena. I even took a couple classes at PCC, Pasadena City College, and spent a lot of time down on Colorado, Old Town Pasadena, and the Rose Bowl and all that stuff. So Altadena is near and dear to my heart. My mom actually, her house that she grew up with, obviously she's moved in, many decades away from growing up, but her house that she grew up in Altadena burned down. So whoever the owner is of that, lost the house. But yeah, my mom went to Altadena High School, so I'm definitely tied to the community. I love it up there. My wife brought me down to Temecula, so that's why you have the 951 number. But I'm always up in LA area, serving my clients. Yeah, always happy to help people through the claim process and give them free advice. And if they see that they need me, then I'm happy to step in on what is a win-win for my client and myself to make sure that it's, something that be worthwhile for both of us to be endeavored in helping them with their claim.
Absolutely, Seth. So you guys, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you didn't get that phone number in the email, don't worry. We'll put it down below for you guys to be able to grab. But Seth, thank you so much for your time today. Good luck in Altadena. Thank you for helping that family that you're going to see, and just have a beautiful day and take it easy, okay?
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate the
Thank
time.
you very much.